Hi, this is Robert, and this is another one of my house designs, which means, of course, it's a cheap Frank Lloyd Wright knockoff. Mr. Wright spent a good portion of his career trying to break the confines of the box. Frank Lloyd Wright felt the 90-degree square boxy house inhibited human movement. He felt a more natural motion was created by the hexagon and the 120-degree angle. I've tried to do something using the 45-degree angle and its inverse, the 135-degree angle, as the obtuse angle, since these would be somewhat easier to manufacture. And for this, I drew out this bevel block, which is essentially an 8-inch square block cut in half, and insulation would be placed in the void on the block. But this allows the use of 45-degree angles and their inverse, the 135-degree angles. Unfortunately, when you do a 135-degree angle, you have a corner of the triangle stick out, which led me to do the keystone block. And the keystone block has two long sides and two short sides, and it adds a lot greater flexibility to the concrete block system. Here you can see two 135-degree bends in a wall. And for this design, I'm trying to be more energy efficient. So one thing I came up with was I increased the depth of the standard block from the standard 8-inch to a 10-inch depth, which allowed room for 2 inches of foam insulation inside. And you'd mold it around a plastic frame, which would hold the whole thing together. You can see that displayed in this video. Also, as I've mentioned before, I try and use the structural insulated panels for the wood walls in the house. And you'll see those around the home theater and in the interior walls. But basically you have 2 to 5 inches, 6 inches of insulated foam sandwiched between plywood or oriented strand board, as you see here. And a structural insulated panel or SIP can give you an R rating, easily double what a standard frame 2x4, 2x6 wall would provide. Here you can see SIP construction for the walls, and here it is being used for a gable roof. One thing you'll notice in this house is the windows are quite thick. I also wanted to make the windows more energy efficient, and you'll notice they are quite thick in the model. That's because there's a company called Light Zone who make a multiple pane compound window, performance window, and these actually have insulation R ratings similar to what you'll see for a standard masonry wall. This is the Gable L house, and it's called that because there are two gables that intersect at 90 degrees. One gable is over the living room, the other is over the parents' bedroom wing, and they intersect over the kitchen. And you can see that here. Here's the living room gable with a clerestory at the east end, clerestory at the west end. Here's the bedroom gable with its clerestory at the south end. Here you can see the low flat roofs that cover many sections of the house, but also are cut out so you can look up and see the gable cathedral ceilings. Here's how the gable roofs look on the house model. So as always, I have a bunch of my designs that I drew out freehand in a spiral bound notebook. And here's the original drawing for the Gable L house. I created a scale plan in SketchUp and then just started giving it thickness and started on walls. Here's the first wall. Starting, that's the entry in the middle, living room at the left, and the garage is on the right. There you can see a little more of it. Here we flipped around and I've drawn in the entry powder room, utility room, and storage room. Here you can see a little closer view of that. And here I'm starting to draw in the kitchen counters and also the built-in modular seating for the living room. Here I've got the garage doors done. The garage is almost complete there except for the roof. And here you can see the home theater on the left with the wood SIP walls. These would make that hopefully the warmest room in the house. But I've also have the multi-pane windows in the sliding glass doors. Here's the front facade. The clerestories aren't in the gable roof yet. See, I'm starting to fill things in. Here we're starting on the parents' bedroom wing. See, I have the dining room done and the parents' closet and bath, as well as the privacy wall. Here's the kitchen on the left, dining room on the right. Here you can see the parents' bedroom and its terrace. And here we've got the gable roofs on the first iteration. You can see some false start lines on it. And here we're looking straight down the clerestories, the gable at the end of the living room. Here we're looking at the other end of the gable over the kitchen. You can see the orange range. Unfortunately, many of the colors in this are brighter than I care for. But in order to get something with a tone that I like on the oblique, you end up usually with a brighter color viewed straight on. Here we're looking in at the kitchen and also straight down the gable with the clerestories at each end. I've got most of the work done on the children's bedroom wing. Drawing in all the shelves, desks and dressers and things. And there are privacy walls around the perimeter of the property which have things built into them, like a barbecue grill, bird bath fountain, feeders, some bench seats, that sort of thing. So here's the house from the front. You can see I have a mailbox there made out of the triangular bevel blocks. And we're just about done here. Yeah, so this is the dining room looking west. You can see the hallway for the children's bedroom wing. This is the inside of the home theater. Looking into the parents' bedroom from their terrace. This is the living room, and you can see the built-in seating, the entry, and the powder room, as well as the open garage door. Here we're looking the other way, we're facing east, and you can see the gable ceiling with the clerestory at the end. Here's the kitchen, and that should be a burnt orange, not an eye-searing bright orange, but you can see the basin with a nice window view of the backyard and the refrigerator on the right. Here we're looking the other way, we're looking east now, and there's the range, and there's a counter that separates the kitchen and the dining room. You can actually look through the dining room and see the garden outside. Here we're looking again at the counter and cabinets separate the kitchen and dining room. You can see the low decks going around. They help hide the air conditioning ducts. Here's the dining room. The chairs, I was trying to do something that's all soft upholstered all around, yet still looks somewhat modern. Here we're looking from the kitchen down the hall to the parents' bedroom. Here's the parents' bedroom. Lots of shelves, and the typical of the bedrooms, they have the high awning windows that are at a 5-foot level, so you don't really need curtains. The only thing people would see from outside would be your head, if that. And this is the parents' bathroom with the 2 huge basins and the enclosed private garden. Again, the parents' bedroom, you can see the vanity and mirror there. This is a more modest house, so it's not lavishly appointed, but it does have a few interesting architectural things going on, I hope. So here we're looking from the parents' bedroom to the kitchen. This is the main bathroom for the children, and you see the medicine cabinet and counter on the right and the shower enclosure for the bathtub on the left. This is the second bedroom, which is 5-sided, and the closets are on the angle there. Same thing. This is the hall. It's looking from the second bedroom back towards the dining room. And here's the front of the house. And here's a section along the long axis of the house looking north. And you can see the children's bedrooms on the left, the living room terrace on the right, and the kitchen is in the center. Another section through the long axis of the house. This is right along the gable crest, and you can see the clerestories at each end. And you have the kitchen at the left, living room in the middle. You see a glimpse of the entry, and then the living room seating area. This is looking the other way, cut through the living room, and you can see the door to the home theater, the sliding glass doors of the living room, a glimpse of the dining room, and the kitchen on the right. And yet another view looking south, and you can see the home theater on the left, the living room terrace and garden, the dining room, the hall to the parents' bedroom, the main bathroom, the first bedroom, and the second children's bedroom. And this is a section through the parents' bedroom looking south. This is a section along the short axis of the house, so it's cut through the parents' bedroom wing and gable, and we're looking east. So you have the kitchen on the left, dining room, the parents' bathroom, private garden, and the parents' bedroom. Here we've moved off the main axis of the gable so we can see a little more. We're cutting through the garage on the left, the laundry room, the kitchen in the middle, the dining room, the parents' closet, and the parents' bedroom. Again, another cut through the short axis of the house. This is actually through the living room here. You can see the powder room on the left, the living room with its gable and clerestory. You see a little bit of the dining room, but it's mainly the terrace behind it, the parents' bathroom, and the parents' bedroom on the right. You can also see the privacy walls that are along the south side of the house. And these are our animations.